Welcome to my wrap-up, my book reading wrap-up. I should have gotten this to you a little while ago, but my motivation to film has been zero, so I just kind of let that be, and this is going to be what it's going to be. So, let's go in, let's talk about my February reading. February was a pretty fair reading month for me. I did have another 6-star read, which I happen to have right here. We'll talk about that more in my haul. And this is At First Spite. I go on a very long chat about At First Spite in my first reading vlog of the month, so I will leave that linked for you in the corner. I did end up with 2 other 5 stars, and that is Bride by Hazelwood and Destined to the Wraith by Regine Abel. I read a total of 23 books in the month of February. I did not DNF any this month. My average rating was 3.98, so clearly I probably should have DNF'd 1 or 2 of these. I did have 2 rereads in this one. They were, I ended up finishing a couple of things that I had previously that I thought I hadn't read, but when I was about halfway through each of them, I realized I had, but I enjoyed them enough that I kept going. 2 of the books that I read were from Kindle Unlimited. When it comes to the formats in which I read them, only 3 of them were physical, 19 were on audio, and then I had 1 that was an ebook. Clearly, I did a lot of audiobook listening in February, and y'all know why. So both of my reading vlogs that talk about books are up. I will leave them linked in the corners. I think I already linked the one, so I'll link the second one now. So let's talk about the genres of which I read. So I had 1 more nonfiction this month. I read 2 YA contemporaries. I had them as audio arcs, so just wanted to get those out of the way. I did do 2 historical romances, which was great. I did 1 fantasy romance, 4 paranormal / alien romances, and 13 contemporary romances. So there was a lot of contemporary romancing going on in my audiobooks. I did find a couple of wins, but... So, one book that I read that I didn't really tell you too much about when I was doing all the editing together was Before the Dawn by Beverly Jenkins. Now, this one has a mistress trope in it, so I know this one won't really work for everybody because of that, but the way in which it all goes down made sense to my brain, so I could forgive it. This is a Beverly Jenkins that I gave 4 stars. It was solidly good. So essentially, this woman gets married because this man who loved her mother wanted to protect her and he wanted to leave her with the little bit that he had so that she could kind of continue to live her life in a safe way. So that happens. He dies the next day. She goes to, hear his will and whatnot and all of that. Ends up meeting his 2 sons that he had been estranged from. And it's one of the sons that she is the mistress because he didn't realize she was still a virgin. They never consummated the marriage, all those kinds of things. So the way it goes down is really interesting. I ended up enjoying it. I could see this one not working for everybody, but Queen Bev can work with tropes that don't always work for me, and they work. So, other than that, let's talk about the few books that I purchased in the month of February. So, obviously, I got this beautiful edition of At First Spite. It is a dust jacket, so I do have the original cover underneath. So, I get to have the best of both worlds with 1 copy. The dust jacket was a pre-order exclusive, but I hadn't read it in time to know that I wanted it. And the scene depicted on this cover is so pivotal in the book and made me cry at work that I knew this was the cover that I wanted. So I was able to track it down on Pango Books. I paid way more than I normally would for a book for it, but this book means that much to me that I was willing to pay it. So there's that. I'm going to cut to another clip where I talk about the few others that I've picked up in the month. There weren't too many, so here you go. When you realized you filmed this and the mic wasn't on, welcome to my day. So let's talk about the books that I picked up in the month of February. So first things first, I've got Bride by Hazelwood here. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. I think The Shiny Moon is part of that, but there's also a bonus essay at the end of this one. This is a paranormal romance with some extra elements to it. A lot of people are saying this is Omegaverse, but I don't think it leans into it too hard. Being someone who's read a fair bit of Omegaverse, I personally would not call this Omegaverse. So if you're seasoned in Omegaverse, you're not going to feel it's Omegaverse. But if you are new to the idea of an Omegaverse, then maybe check this one out, kind of dip your toe in, see how you feel. If you're uncomfy, obviously run away. But if you like what you find, then you can dive in a little bit deeper. So with that said, I think Misery and Low are fantastic characters. I really enjoyed this one. It was one of my favorite reads from this month. It was a 5-star read, not quite a 6-star read, but 5 stars, and I absolutely loved it. So I wanted to own a physical copy, and this one is beautiful. The other special edition I've got is the Fairy Loot box, or the Fairy Loot edition of From Luke Love with Love. So we've got the shiny hollow on the cover here, and then under the dust jacket we have Jasmine, and we have Ivan on the end pages, and then on the actual book you see them together. It's got the beautiful red foil. I love it so much. And this is just one of my favorite books of all time. You all know I love Mariana Zapata. I mean, I've recently been talking about All Roads Lead Here so much. So From Luke Love with Love definitely falls into that category as well. I love it so much. Definitely check this one out if you haven't. And also, I didn't talk about the sprayed edges, but they are beautiful flowers that like skaters get tossed at them. Like, it's just perfection to me, and I'm really happy to have it. The next one I have here is the Kamogawa Food Detectives. This is a book translated. So it's been translated by Jessie Kirkwood. This one's giving me the vibes of, what's that cafe book? The cafe one, this one. I'm going to insert it here. That one. Tales from the something cafe? It's something like that. It's similarly colored, but it's giving me vibes of that because the tagline here in the inside is, what's the one dish you'd do anything to taste just one more time? So it's giving me a similar vibe here. Plus, you know, you've got the kitty here. So I am very excited to dive into this one because I love me a good book in translation. I haven't been reading as much lately, so I'm hoping to pick up a few here soon. And then last but not least for this haul is going to be The Husky and His White Cat Shih Volume 4. I buddy read these Dawn May series with Lindsay over at Lindsay Tut. Love her to death. And very, very excited to continue to read these amazing series with her. We always have a great time, and I love them. I love them so much. So with that said, let's throw it back to past Shae. And that's kind of my wrap up for the month of February in my book reading. I'll have my manga one up probably tomorrow. I might film it tonight when I get back from work. We'll see. Anyhow, thank you so much for watching this video. If you are here just because you love me, leave me a bathtub emoji for At First Bite, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.